Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive? Today we're exploring how AI is shaking up the world of corporate social responsibility.
It's a game changer for sure. Huge potential for impact.
We'll be using this document called Intelligence Artificielle et Responsabilité Sociétale des Entreprises, which means artificial intelligence and corporate social responsibility. It dives deep into how businesses can use AI to boost their social responsibility. What stood out to you when you first looked at it?
The sheer variety of what you can do with it. It's not just limited to one or two things. AI is popping up everywhere, from managing resources in the environment to promoting inclusion and even fighting corruption.
It's pretty amazing. It's like AI is a multi-tool that companies can use to tackle all kinds of social responsibility problems. The document highlights how AI can help us use resources better, which is a big deal when you think about the pressure on companies to go green.
Absolutely. And we can already see real-world examples of this. Google, for example, managed to cut down the energy they use for cooling their data centers by a whopping 40% using machine learning. That's a huge chunk of their carbon footprint gone.
Wow, 40%. What kind of data are they looking at to do that? It must be super complicated.
Probably thousands of variables in real time, things like server temperatures, how well the cooling systems are working, even the weather outside. AI can handle all that data and spot patterns humans might miss, which means they can fine-tune things to use less energy.
I wonder how many other companies could get those kinds of results if they used AI for sustainability. It's not just about energy, is it? The document talks about how AI can make things fairer and more inclusive too.
Right. AI can help us reduce bias, which is super important for a fairer workplace and a fairer world in general. Companies like Unilever and Pymetrics are already using AI to do blind CV analysis, focusing just on skills and experience instead of things like gender or race. This makes sure everyone has a fair shot, regardless of their background.
Like, AI is evening the playing field. It's judging people based on their merits, not on things they can't control.
Exactly. And that could have a massive impact on diversity and inclusion in companies. But it also means we have to be really careful about how we design and use these AI systems.
Makes sense. You can't just throw AI at a problem and expect it to solve everything. We need to think about how these systems are built and make sure they're actually promoting fairness.
Are there any other cool examples of companies using AI for good?
One that comes to mind is Zest AI. They're using AI to assess credit risks, especially for people who might not have a regular credit history. This can be a game changer for people who are often excluded from financial services because of biased or incomplete data.
That's powerful. It's like AI is giving people a second chance, helping them access opportunities that might have been denied before. It seems like AI is really rewriting the rules when it comes to corporate social responsibility. It's a powerful tool, no doubt. And companies are coming up with new ways to use it for good all the time. The document also talks about how AI can increase transparency and fight corruption.
Now, that's something I'm really curious about. How does AI even fit into that? It seems like a very human problem.
Well, AI is great at analyzing huge amounts of data and spotting patterns that could signal fraudulent activity. For instance, Frogster uses AI to flag dodgy e-commerce transactions as they happen, which protects both businesses and customers.
Like a superpowered detective catching the bad guys before they can do any damage.
You could say that. It can process information way faster and more accurately than humans, so it's a huge asset in fighting financial crime. Another example is Everledger. They use AI to trace the origins of diamonds, ensuring they're ethically sourced and not tied to conflict. That gives customers peace of mind knowing they're buying responsibly.
So AI is helping to make supply chains more ethical, ensuring things are produced in a responsible way. That's fantastic. It feels like AI is touching every part of corporate social responsibility.
It really is, and we're just getting started. As AI gets more advanced, we can expect even more creative solutions that help companies be more sustainable, ethical, and responsible.
It's exciting to imagine what's possible. But I know there were also concerns about AI, about the potential downsides.
Mm.
The document acknowledges those too, right?
Yes, it does. We can't just focus on the good stuff and ignore the potential problems. It's important to be aware of the ethical challenges, too.
Okay, let's talk about those challenges. What are some of the big concerns highlighted in the document?
One of the most urgent ones is that AI systems could perpetuate existing biases, leading to unfair or discriminatory outcomes.
That's a major worry. We've all heard stories about AI going wrong and making existing inequalities even worse.
Exactly. If an AI system is trained on biased data, it'll learn and repeat those biases in its decisions. This can have serious consequences, especially in things like hiring, lending, and even the justice system.
So it's not just the technology itself, it's the data that's used to train it and the
Hmm.
people who create and use these systems.
Right. We need to be super careful about the data we feed AI, and we need to make sure that diverse voices are involved in building it to reduce the risk of bias.
It's a tough challenge, but one we can't ignore. What other ethical considerations are there?
Well, the environmental impact of AI is another big one. While AI can definitely be used to help the environment, training and running large AI models takes a lot of computing power, which means a big carbon footprint.
It's ironic that something that can help the environment can also be bad for it.
That's a paradox we have to deal with. We can't just assume AI is a cure-all for sustainability without looking at the full picture. And that leads us to a crucial question. How can companies make sure they're using AI responsibly, taking into account both its potential and its limitations?
That's the big question, right? And thankfully, the document doesn't just leave us hanging. It gives some concrete guidance on how companies can build responsible AI using corporate social responsibility principles.
It does, and that's what we'll dig into in the next part of our deep dive.
Sounds great. I'm looking forward to learning more about those guidelines and how companies can navigate this complex landscape.
It's a super interesting and important topic, and I think you'll find the insights in the document really valuable.
Okay, so we know AI has this huge potential to do good in corporate social responsibility, but it also has some ethical issues. Where do we go from here? What can companies actually do to use AI responsibly?
Well, the document gives us some practical steps that companies can take, and it all begins with having strong ethical guidelines. It can't just be a free-for-all. There needs to be some kind of framework to guide how AI is developed and used.
Like a set of rules for how to use AI. I like that.
Exactly. And Salesforce is a good example of this with their ethical AI by design program. They've even built audits into their system to ensure that their AI tools are used ethically and responsibly, like a checks and balances system.
Sounds very thorough. Is that something all companies should be considering, no matter how big or small they are?
Absolutely. It's not just for the big tech companies. Every company that uses AI in any way needs to think about the ethical side of things. And it's not a one-time thing either. Ethical considerations need to be a part of the entire process of developing and using AI, from the initial design all the way to monitoring and evaluating how it's being used.
So ethical AI is an ongoing process, like a continuous loop of making sure things are on the right track.
Yeah.
What else can companies do besides setting guidelines and audits?
Collaboration is really important. Companies need to include different people in the process of designing AI, not just their own teams. We're talking about employees from various departments, ethicists, maybe even outside experts, and people from the community. Getting different perspectives is essential.
That makes a lot of sense. The more eyes you have on something, the more likely you are to spot potential issues or biases.
Exactly. And there are resources to help companies with this. Accenture, for example, created an ethical AI toolkit to help align AI solutions with human rights and sustainability goals.
So companies don't have to start from scratch. There are tools and frameworks they can use to get going in the right direction. That's good to know.
It is. And then there's the big one, transparency. Companies need to be open about how they're using AI, how their algorithms work, and what steps they're taking to use it responsibly. This builds trust with the public and shows that they're taking ethics seriously.
I see. If a company is secretive about their AI, it makes you wonder what they're hiding.
Exactly. Transparency is key for accountability. And part of that transparency is ensuring that AI systems are explainable. People need to be able to understand how AI reached a particular decision, especially if that decision has a big impact on their lives.
Explainable AI sounds complicated.
It's a fascinating field, and it's becoming more important as AI systems get more complex and integrated into our lives. If we want people to trust and accept AI, we need to make sure it's not a mysterious black box making decisions that nobody understands.
So we've got guidelines, collaboration, transparency, explainability.
Yeah.
Anything else companies need to consider when it comes to responsible AI?
Well, it's important to remember that AI is always evolving. What might be considered cutting edge and ethical today could be outdated or even problematic tomorrow as technology advances.
So it's not a set it and forget it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Companies need to constantly learn, adapt, and change how they approach AI ethics.
Absolutely. It's a continuous process of learning, iterating, and improving. And that's where the document emphasizes the importance of ongoing education and awareness building, both within companies and for society as a whole.
It's like we're all in this together, right?
Yeah.
We need to have honest conversations about AI and its impact, and we need to actively shape how this technology develops. What role do individuals play in this?
That's a great question, and I think it all starts with being aware. Educating ourselves about AI, both the good and the bad, is crucial. We need to be informed citizens who can participate in meaningful discussions about the future of this technology.
No more ignoring it and hoping AI figures itself out.
Exactly. We need to be proactive, and one way to do that is to support organizations that are pushing for responsible AI development. There are a lot of great groups doing amazing work in this area.
Are there any specific organizations you recommend?
For sure. The AI Now Institute is doing some groundbreaking research on the social impact of AI. They want to make sure AI benefits everyone, not just a select few.
That sounds like a valuable resource.
Yeah.
Any others?
Another great one is the Partnership on AI. They bring together people from all walks of life, industry, academia, civil society, to develop best practices for AI. Their focus is on collaboration and dialogue, which is essential for navigating this complex landscape.
I like the idea of getting all those diverse viewpoints in the same room. How can we find good solutions if we're not talking to each other?
Precisely. And apart from supporting these organizations, individuals can also make informed choices about the products and services they use.
So supporting companies that are doing things right with their AI.
Exactly. Supporting companies that are open about their AI practices and dedicated to ethical development sends a powerful message. It shows that consumers care about these issues and are willing to support companies that align with their values.
That's a strong message. And what about holding companies accountable when they make mistakes? Is there a role for individuals in that?
Absolutely. If we see AI being used in harmful or discriminatory ways, we need to speak up. We can
Yeah.
contact the company, raise awareness on social media, or even support organizations that are advocating for stronger regulations.
It's like we have a responsibility to call out bad behavior when we see it, just like we would in any other situation.
Exactly. And remember, this is a rapidly changing field. What's considered cutting edge today might be old news tomorrow. So we need to stay informed, be flexible in our thinking, and be willing to challenge the status quo as the technology evolves.
It sounds like responsible AI is less about having all the answers right now and more about having a continuous conversation, adapting, and always learning as things change.
You got it. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
That's a great way to put it. It's not about finding a quick fix. It's about committing to a long-term journey of responsible and ethical AI development. What else can we do to ensure AI is used for good?
Well, one of the most impactful things we can do is advocate for strong regulations and policies that govern how AI is developed and used.
So we need to get governments involved as well.
Absolutely. We need clear rules and frameworks to ensure that AI is used ethically and responsibly. And these regulations need to be flexible. They have to keep up with the rapid pace of technological advancements.
Sounds like a tough job trying to regulate something that's constantly changing.
It is, but it's crucial. We can't just rely on the tech industry to regulate itself. We need strong, enforceable regulations to protect the public interest and ensure that AI is used for good.
And what about the role of education in all of this?
Education is absolutely vital. We need to equip future generations with the knowledge and skills to navigate this complex landscape.
So it's not just about teaching kids to code. It's about teaching them to think critically about AI, its ethical implications, and its impact on society.
You got it. We need to raise a generation of informed and responsible citizens who can shape the future of AI in a positive way. And that means teaching them about ethics, critical thinking, and the importance of having diverse viewpoints in AI development.
It's about empowering the next generation to use this incredibly powerful technology responsibly.
Exactly. And it's not just about technical skills, it's about fostering empathy, understanding different perspectives, and developing a strong sense of social responsibility.
That's a powerful message.
Yeah.
It's not just about the tech. It's about the values and principles that guide its development and use.
Precisely. And I think that's the ultimate message of this document. A thoughtful, ethical approach to AI that prioritizes human well-being and social good.
It's an inspiring vision, and it makes me hopeful that we can use the power of AI to create a better future for everyone. But it also feels like a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
Where do we even begin?
Well, I think it all starts with asking questions, being curious, and staying engaged in this ongoing conversation. There's no single answer, no magic solution. But if we work together, educate ourselves, and hold each other accountable, I believe we can shape the future of AI in a way that benefits all of humanity.
That's a great point. We're not going to solve all the ethical challenges of AI overnight, but we can start by taking small steps, having those difficult conversations, and ensuring that AI is developed and used in a way that aligns with our values.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to challenge assumptions, question the status quo, and push for a future where AI is a force for good.
I like that. Challenge assumptions, question the status quo. Those are good words to live by in the age of AI. But I think we need to wrap things up for now. We've covered a lot today.
We have, and I think our listeners have a lot to think about.
Wow, we've been on quite a journey today. Through the exciting and complex world of AI and corporate social responsibility, it's a lot to take in.
Yeah, it really is. We talked about AI's potential to tackle some of the world's biggest problems, but we also can't forget the ethical challenges that come with it.
For sure. And something that really hit me during this deep dive, AI and corporate social responsibility aren't separate things at all. They're connected, like two sides of the same coin.
I agree. And I think the document we've been looking at makes that point very clear. AI can be a really powerful tool for companies to achieve their social responsibility goals, but it also brings up a whole new set of ethical considerations that need to be addressed carefully.
Like, AI can bring about positive change, but it needs guidance, some principles, to keep it on the right path. We can't just let it loose and hope for the best.
You're absolutely right. And that's where the human element is so important. We as individuals, as companies, as a society, need to be actively involved in shaping how AI is developed and used. It can't just be left to the tech experts or the algorithms themselves.
Well, we need to be the ones making the decisions, making conscious choices about how AI is used and what values it reflects.
That's it. And that means asking tough questions, demanding transparency from companies that use AI, and holding those in power accountable for the consequences of their choices. It's about taking control in a world that's becoming more and more automated.
And making sure that AI is used for good, not just for profit. That it's used to help everyone, not just a select few.
Absolutely. And that requires a fundamental change in how we think, both in companies and in society as a whole. We have to move beyond just focusing on efficiency and optimization and embrace a broader perspective that considers the social and ethical impact of AI at every stage.
I like that. A broader perspective. It's like AI has to be more than just a tool to increase profits. It needs to be a tool for creating a better world, one that's fairer and more sustainable.
That's the challenge and the opportunity we have. This incredibly powerful technology is in our hands, and it's up to us to decide how we use it. Do we use it to perpetuate existing inequalities and damage the planet? Or do we use it to build a better future for everyone, a future that's more just and sustainable?
It's a big question, and there isn't an easy answer. But the fact that we're having this conversation, that we're wrestling with these issues, gives me hope.
Me too. It shows that we're starting to see the profound impact AI is having on our world, and we're taking responsibility for shaping its future. We're not just watching from the sidelines, we're active participants in this unfolding story.
And what a story it is. Full of potential, full of challenges, and full of possibilities that we're only beginning to grasp. It's exciting and a little scary all at the same time, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. I think that's what makes this whole field so captivating. It's pushing us to think in new ways, to question what we believe, and to imagine new ways of living in the world. It's not just about technology, it's about what it means to be human in the age of AI.
That's a question we each need to answer for ourselves. There's no one right answer, no simple guidebook. But if we approach this journey with curiosity, with empathy, and with a commitment to building a better future, I think we can use AI for good.
I couldn't agree more. I think you've really summed up what we've been talking about today. It's a complex and constantly changing landscape, but it's one full of hope and possibility.
And on that note, I think it's time to wrap up our deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground, but this conversation is far from over.
You're right. This is just the beginning.
So, to our listeners, we encourage you to keep exploring these ideas, keep asking tough questions, and keep having thoughtful discussions about the future of AI and its impact on our world.
And remember, the future is not something that just happens. We create it together, one choice at a time.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world where AI and corporate social responsibility meet. We hope it's been insightful, thought-provoking, and maybe even a little bit inspiring. Until next time, keep exploring.